Hello, everybody, and welcome to Decoding the WSL, the podcast dedicated to the stats and facts in the WSL. We are coming at you throughout the month of August with a season preview episode for each team in the WSL. Today's episode is all about Aston Villa. I'm your host, Sam Biccarino, and please say alongside me we have who is very much an Aston Villa guru. It's Freya Taylor-Hall. Freya, how you doing?
I'm good, thank you. What an introduction.
You don't normally get that kind of introduction.
I hope I live up to it. No, but I think I should demand it from now on.
Yeah, no, very good. Very good
thank
to have
you.
you
How are
back
you?
on, because I think the last time you were on the podcast was doing the Aston Villa season preview last season.
Yeah, we were just saying, weren't we? It feels like it wasn't that long ago, but yeah, last season.
Yeah, it
so
was a full year.
much has changed.
I mean, Decoding the WSL only started last
exciting.
August, so it was similar kind of thing. We were trying to get them all through, but we were sort of doing more than one team per episode last year, whereas now we've got a whole one dedicated just to Aston Villa. We're going to be having a look at what's happened over the summer and how we think they're going to get on next season. But let's start off laying the foundations of what happened last season. So Villa finished 6th in the WSL, 3 points behind 5th place and ahead of 7th on goal difference, so just about inside the top half. They reached an FA Cup quarter-final where they lost out to Man City and went out in the group stage of the Subway Cup, second in the group to Tottenham Hotspur. How was last season as a Villa fan, Freya? It's a bit open, isn't it?
An easier question, please, rather than this one. You know what? It was, if you look at the season as a whole, it was okay. If you break it down into the first half and the second half of the season, completely different team, completely different feeling as well. So for those who might remember, Robert DePau came in. That didn't go down very well. And he left early December, and it was rough. It was really rough. We didn't get a point until November, I believe. And at that point, we said, you know what? We need about 10 points January, February time. If we still haven't got that, then we're in trouble. And in about early February, we had about 9, and we were like, okay, this isn't looking good. So we really had to dig deep. And then Natalia Arroyo came in and she completely turned the team around. And those last 5 games, it's very easy to paint the season with rose-tinted glasses because of how we ended. But it's a complete 180 from how we started. So that 5 wins in a row against your Arsenals, against your Brightons, and you think, who is this team? Like, where have they come from? So yeah, it just shows you it's typical of being a Villa fan. You don't know what you're going to get. You don't know what's going to happen. But they always
severe
find a
lack
bit
of
pull through.
consistency, I guess, for Villa. But then teams coming up against you don't really know what sort of Villa they're going to get, and therefore don't really know a little bit of how to play against you, but also what the result's going to be. It's if anyone's a betting kind of person out there, I bet Villa's the sort of team that you try and stay away from.
That's the thing. Well, yeah, because, a lot of, because obviously lots of banter online and things like that, and lots of people go, it's only Villa. And then we'll go out and win. And they're like, hang on, what? So for a long time, Villa were seen as easy 3 points. But hopefully now, we've built the squad over the summer that we're going to talk about. And, we're taking steps forward that we're not going to be seen as an easy 3 points. We're going to be seen as tough competition. And just, hopefully this is...
I think it may well be for Villa because it's quite a noticeable change, I think, in the Villa squad. I think I'm right in saying, I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think Villa were the oldest squad last season in terms of like starting 11s. So that's something that's definitely been addressed because obviously Rachel Corsie has retired. Dan Turner, who was sort of the upper end of that, has gone to Melbourne City.
Yes.
Jordan Nobbs has obviously moved down a league to Newcastle United, and Maz Pacheco, who's sort of middle of the road in terms of ages, was about on that average age, has gone to Everton. And then you've also had Sophia Paul's gone to London City Lionesses, and Ruby Ray Tucker has gone to Southampton, as well as Katie Robinson going out on loan, which I think is quite interesting. But the players you've then brought in, which we'll come to in a moment, are a much lower age profile. Were you sort of Are they the players you expected to leave this summer?
Yeah.
Are they sort of the right kind of players, or do you think some of those might stay on?
Well, I don't know if you saw, there was actually a petition made about re-sign Maz, because we didn't want her to leave because we know how good of a player she is, but unfortunately she just wasn't getting the game time. I don't think she was in the plans, which happens with managers, but as fans, when you've made that connection with a player, you really don't want to see them go. I think for Rachel Colsey, though, she'd had a lot of injuries coming into it, plus her age, she'd retired from the Scottish national team, so we kind of knew that was on the cards. Dan Turner, we couldn't have done the last couple of seasons without her. She's so underrated. But because I don't know, maybe it was because she's not kind of one of the household names, and part of like the older guard that you think about, that we thought maybe she was going to be a likely candidate to leave. I didn't think Jordan would. I thought Jordan would have stayed in the WSL for another couple of seasons because she's got it in her. As a Sunderland fan, born and bred, and so is she, a bit heartbroken that she has gone to Newcastle. But they're trying to push for promotion.
Of all the teams she could have gone to.
What was that, sorry? Of all the teams, literally go anywhere else, anywhere else in the world. Why go to Newcastle? But I understand they're building something, aren't they? They're going for promotion, so I can kind of see it. But yeah, I didn't think Jordan would have gone, and yeah, we were heartbroken over Maz leaving. So yeah, it was a mixed bag. But of course, the contract as well. We had 9 players, I believe, out of contract. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah, ish. So yeah, that was a big gamble as well, because we didn't hear anything, and Villa are never one of the first clubs to announce their news either. So it was getting closer and closer to the transfer window opening, and we were thinking, are we going to hear anything here? And then luckily they all came in, but they left us hanging with.
Quite a few new contracts actually, because as I've been doing these throughout the month and sort of putting these running orders and stuff together, some teams you don't really realise you put this together and you're like, oh, they've actually not really re-signed anyone. Maybe they've just got longer contracts, or maybe loads of players have left, etc. But Villa's sort of list of players that have signed a new contract, players that have left, and players that are incoming, I think it's quite a healthy mix. New contracts with Sarah Mailing, Rachel Daly, Lucy Stan, Anna Patton, Lucy Parker and Kirsty Hansen, as well as a first pro contract with 3 of the youth players, Sophia Kelly, Rachel Maltby and Lydia Salloway. I think those sort of extended contracts as such are really important. There's some really big players in there. We know, and I think everyone in the country knows how good Rachel Daly can be, but Lucy Stan and Sarah Mailing go, I think, quite underrated. I think they're quite good players. They're not necessarily going to go and win you the league, but they're certainly good enough to play and not be flirting around relegation. But then I think to keep Anna Patton, Lucy Parker and Kirsty Hansen for I don't know how long their contracts are now, but to keep them on for longer, I think they could be 3 of your most important players this season.
Oh, 100%. And yeah, because I've been doing a transfer tracker this season. So just looking at the year, so we've had Lucy Stan, she's had a year triggered on her contract. She took a 1-year extension, which is good because, again, like you said, so underrated in that midfield. And when she's not playing, you can really tell the difference. So really happy she's staying. Sarah Mailing, Rachel Daly, Kirsty Hansen and Lucy Parker have all signed till 2027, which, again, I know we talk in the women's game usually about kind of 1 to 3 years, don't we? But even a 2-year extension is fantastic. And yeah, Anna Patton's till June 2028. So we've got her for 3 years. So yeah, it really shows the I think the ambition to keep the quality players as well, that they've offered them that security. And, like you said, they're such key players when we've seen them being played in the right positions, and we've seen just what they contribute to the squad. And when Lucy Parker's fit, she's, again, someone else has been troubled by injuries. She's so pivotal to this squad. So yeah, some really, really big names in there. And yeah, all of them
Yeah,
being Villa.
I agree.
Villa
I
got
think
it
Lisa
done.
Parker's really up there as one of the sort of the better players in the league in her position. Obviously, at centre back, and Anna Patton is as well. I think those two as a pair work really well together. But it was a bit stop-start last season because of injuries, and I think that
Yes.
hurt your sort of defensive solidity as a whole. Obviously, Lisa Parker even got into the Lionesses squad pre-injury anyway. So yeah, there's nothing to say that that won't happen
Yeah.
again.
Yeah, she's at
So yeah, could
the
still
training camp,
happen
wasn't she?
again.
Yeah.
You did obviously bring in
Yeah.
some players though, to as we sort of alluded to earlier, with a bit of a sort of lower age profile than those that have left as well, which I think is good for the team as a whole. So Lynn Wilms has come in from Wolfsburg, Ellie Roebuck from Barcelona, Jill Byings from Bayern Munich has made her loan deal permanent. And then there's Lucia Kendall from Southampton, Ocean Deslans, I think is how you pronounce that, not 100% sure, but from Montpellier. Oh, there we go.
Well, Sian
And
Delon,
Maya
like
Hijikata from Tokyo, basically, which is a good crop, I think,
yes.
of players. There's some good quality in there. There's a few players that are probably a little less known to those that only really watch the WSL, but obviously Jill Byings had a fantastic season last season, and many people listening that have followed the WSL for a few years will know who Ellie
Yes.
Roebuck is. So coming in from Barcelona, I think she in particular, Ellie Roebuck, could be a really important part of your season this year, because I felt last season I really liked Sabrina D'Angelo, but I don't think she was good enough last season. And I think Roebuck is sort of that step above. What about you? Is there anyone in that sort of group of incoming players that really stands out?
Yes, so I love that we've got Jill Byings on a permanent deal. She came to us with a back injury, so we didn't actually see her until after the winter break. So she was like a new signing in January. It was great. But yeah, she's been incredible in that midfield. So really, really happy to see her back. Lynn Vilms, of course, for people who watch, Champions League and outside the WSL, you'll know that name and you'll know what she can do for her team and for Germany. So we couldn't believe it at first because we were like, Villa have signed Lynn Vilms. So yeah, I can't wait to see what she does for us on the pitch. I was half surprised with Ellie Roebuck because we know, of course, kind of off the pitch, everything she's gone through. And Barcelona, in a sense, and kind of what we know about the club now, I just want Villa to be the right environment for her. So to rebuild that confidence, get back into playing. But yeah, you're right. If you think about Ellie Roebuck a couple of years ago when she was, number one and she was really at the top of her game, then you're looking at that quality and that potential again to get back to it. So yeah, I can see Sabs and Ellie kind of fighting for that number one spot, which would be nice. I wish Sophia Poole hadn't gone. I'm just going to put that out there because she's an incredible young goalkeeper. But yeah, to be honest, I didn't know too much about Delond and Hijikata. But yeah, I'm excited to see
I think
what
Villa
they
have
can do.
overall probably improved the sort of overall level of the squad over the summer, and obviously a lot of the players that you've kept on as well are that not necessarily like just coming through, but are a bit of a younger profile, so are sort of getting more towards their peak. So I do think Villa will probably be a better team. If Villa in 6 months' time play against Villa from 6 months ago, I think the 6 months' time team is going to win. You mentioned about Lynn Wilms in there as well. I was having a little look at her yesterday when I was doing, or whenever it was that I was doing some prep for this, and I always have a look at FBref. It's sort of one of my go-to websites for all the stats and stuff like that. And they've got a very helpful thing on there where they say like similar players based on their statistical profiles, basically. So in their position and what kind of players get the same kind of numbers. And three of the ones that she's very similar to, which a lot of people listening will be familiar with, are Katie McCabe, Lucy Bronze, and Esme Bruce, which is a pretty good group of players to be similar to. So if you don't know who Lynn Wilms is, keep an eye on her. Because I don't know about you, but I think for Villa this season, she's probably if I had to sort of name a breakthrough star for Villa this season, she'd be my best bet.
Yeah, when you put it like that her stats are so similar to those names, and you think this is someone who's definitely going to show what she can do, and not just come in and be like, have people questioning why we signed her straight away. I think she's going to, hit the ground running and just really demonstrate, all of the experience that she has. And I was looking at kind of who we've got in what positions. And I think it's going to be between her and Sarah Malin at right back. So I hope there's healthy competition for that position. But I think Wilms might now come in as our starting right back, with Sarah Malin maybe coming on as more of an impact sub. Again, we can see that she can do that. So it's going to be certainly interesting now we've got competition.
Yeah, I do agree as well. I do think that Wilms will probably take that position, and obviously on the other side with Maz Pacheco leaving, it's probably a pretty dead cert that Paola Tomas will nail down that left back spot. She sort of came in at the start of last season, looked really good. I remember that. I think it was the opening day against Chelsea. She looked amazing. She was probably one of the best players on the pitch, even though Chelsea won the game. And I think she had some good performances throughout the season, but didn't quite maintain that level. But maybe if she's got a bit more sort of confidence in her sort of position on the pitch and her position in the team, maybe she might be able to sort of translate that into a bit more consistency moving forward. Let's move on to sort of our expectations for the next year, because obviously, well, we mentioned earlier, Villa finished just about inside the top half on goal difference, but not far behind fifth place. How do you think they're going to manage this year? Let's go through sort of WSL, but also the Cups as well. Where are you placing them this season?
So I think with how we finished last season, I think that could be a good reflection again. So around that 5th, 6th area. I mean, ideally, would love to push into 4th, but we're also very aware that other teams have strengthened around us as well. So I think as long as we're up in that top half of the table, I think because we've gone through a lot of transition, I think that's probably realistic to aim for. But of course, you want to go as high as possible. Cups, so last year we went, right, we're not having the league, we'll go on a cup run. And then that didn't happen either. So I think in the Subway Cup, getting out of the groups might be nice, because that just didn't go very well last time. But yeah, I mean, if we can have 2 good cup runs, we did quite well in the FA Cup. So, and again, that was to City, wasn't it? We said earlier. Again, City, that it was always going to be a bit more of a miracle if we'd beaten them. So yeah, I think just yeah, I think we can do it. I think we can do it this year. Definitely get out the groups with the Sub Cup. I call that so many different names, by the way. I don't know if anyone else does. And then another good FA Cup run as well. I think realistically we can do it.
Don't worry about I've called it Sub Cup, I've called it League Cup, I've called it Subway Cup, I've probably called it other things as well along the way. So don't worry about changing the name, because as long as we know what you mean, we're good. I'm going to be intrigued to see what Villa are going to be like, because I don't think you're going to have to worry about, I know it's not a relegation spot necessarily because it's a playoff, but I don't think you're going to worry about there. I think you're probably going to finish around the same sort of level, probably 5th or 6th. I think the top 4 will be the same top 4, not necessarily in exactly the same order, but it'll be 2 London teams, 2 Manchester teams, and then it's what's going to happen after that. And I think the whole league from 5th down to 12th at that point is all going to be quite close. And I think closer than it was this season. I think Villa would probably be my second best shout for sort of the best of the rest. I think Everton have been looking really good. They've obviously made some really good signings as well, signing half of the earth.
Lots of good signings,
So I think as long as they're going to gel and they've got a really good coach, obviously Brian Sorensen, I think they'll probably end up getting 5th. Villa would be my best bet for 6th, but equally, I wouldn't be surprised to see Villa like in 10th, because I think the gap is just so small between the teams. But I don't think you'll have to worry about relegation. I'd be very surprised, because I think one of the main things behind that is that they say like defence wins titles, and although I don't think you're necessarily going to win the title, I do think your defence is really good, and it's probably I've sort of put in the notes a bit of a hot take that I think outside of the top 4, Villa will be the team that concede the fewest goals this season, because obviously I think you're upgrading your goalkeeper to Ellie Roebuck. I think you've got a really good back 4 lineup in Tomas, Obviously, you've extended Lucy Parker and Patton's contracts, and then you brought in Wilms at right back. And I think, although Wilms is quite an attacking player, as is Tomas, they will do their defensive duties when they need to. And obviously, with two really good centre backs as well, I think you're going to be, a really solid goalkeeper and back four combo. So, that's sort of my hot take for the season. That you'll be probably fifth or sixth. I'm going to say sixth if I have to pick a single position, but probably the fewest goals conceded. Maybe even less than someone like Man City, who tend to try and outscore the opposition rather than keep out.
Yeah, no, I can. I agree with you. Yeah, I can. I can definitely see that happening. And for a long time, our defense was our strongest part of the team because something just wasn't clicking up front, and we weren't scoring the goals. And as I think we mentioned briefly earlier, when we did finish how we did last season, and it was on goal difference, and it shows you just how much that comes into play when the league is so tight. So this year, like you said, even more so, it's going to be right. Tight defending and actually finding those goals from somewhere. So I think we're probably in the best position to push on that we've been in for a long time. It'll just be can they
and you've
can
not
they
quite
keep
got
that consistency
the fifth place threat, because there's been a bit of a trend in the last few seasons that when a team finishes fifth, they then take quite a big drop the next year. Obviously, Villa had that a few years ago, didn't you, where things were looking amazing and you were on the up, and then the next season, I think you finished 11th. Mm-hmm. Finishing sixth this season, you're going to bypass that, so you don't have to worry. That's Brighton's worry for this season. Let's move on before we wrap up for the day. Let's have a look at Aerial Fantasy. Listener, if you don't know, Fantasy WSL that a lot of people played last season has been rebranded to Aerial Fantasy, and the game is now live as of, while we're recording anyway, as of earlier this week. I've made my team. I will tinker with it. I already have tinkered with it, and I will continue to tinker with it before the season starts. And probably about 5 of the players in my team will actually be in my team by the time the season starts. But at the moment, I've got 2 Villa players in mind. I'll talk about one, and then I'll fire over to you to see who you're going to pick. Because I know you haven't made your team yet, but you will be making your team, you said. My one that I put in, one of the ones that I put in is Kirsty Hansen. She's currently 6 million. Obviously, prices will fluctuate over the season, but I think budgeting is really hard this season because the players at the top teams, I think, tend to be a little bit more expensive than they were last season, but obviously the budget's the same, so you need to utilise some of the sort of non-top 4 teams and the best players of those, and I think Kirsty Hansen's bang on for that because she was so good last season and has been for a few years, let's be honest. She gets quite a few goals and assists, especially for the fact that she's only 6 million. And like we've already said, I think Villa are going to do pretty well this year. And even against the top teams can be quite unpredictable. So it's one of those that, even if Villa are Manchester United away or City at home or something, that you wouldn't be surprised to still see them get a result because it can happen. So I think Kirsty Hansen at 6 million as a sort of budget-ish pick is a really good one. And because I needed a few budget picks, that was she was an easy choice. I think of all the 6 million players, she was probably my first choice. Is there anyone, when you go to make yours, is there any Villa players that you're like, I'm definitely going to be picking?
Yeah, so I'm actually looking at it now just to, again, have a look at the price and things, because when Aerial Fantasy, I've chatted to them a few times over the years, and when they did their, share this and we'll give you an insider tip into the costumes of the players. I did that, and they actually sent me Anna Patton. And I was like, oh, right, okay. So Anna Patton is also 6 for anyone that's looking. And I think, again, that's a really good deal for Patsy. So I'm going to have Anna Patton in. And I'm also going to have Jill Byings in midfield. And she's only 4.5. So for everything that we've spoken about, 4.5 million, not too bad. Not too bad at all. So yeah, if anyone wants a really strong midfielder who also contributes with assists and goals as well, I think Jill Byings is going to be...
Jill Byings is actually the other player that I've got in, so not to sort of step on your toes too much, but
there we go.
Like you say, she's 4.5 million. She played 12 games last season, and I think probably play a bit more this season, but only 4.5 million. And the other thing I pointed out as well, that she's only selected by 2.4% at the moment. Pardon me. We know with Visionaries, Yeah, if you're selected by less
Really?
than 2% of fantasy players and you score or assist or get a clean sheet, something like that, you get a bonus as well as your sort of normal points because it's a visionary pick. And I wouldn't be surprised to see your buyings. It's one of those that I'll have to check it as it gets close to the time, but I wouldn't be surprised to see her drop below that 2%. I don't have any data to back this up, to be honest, but my theory is that as it gets closer to the season starting, the people more likely to make their
No,
teams
I
are the people that don't follow women's football quite as closely, who are therefore more likely to go for the players they've heard of, like Lionesses, or for Arsenal players and Chelsea players. And probably, if you're not really that into women's football, you probably don't know who
yeah.
Jill Byings is, and you probably don't realise that she did really well last season. So I think that 2.4% is going to come down, and hopefully by game week 2, she might be a visionary. But yeah. Sorry, what were you about to say?
No, I was just going to say, I remember last year, her and Paula Tomas, I think, were both visionaries. So I got a few bonus points there. So yeah, if anyone wants a left back as well, Tomas is a good one. Maybe on the bench, maybe, depending on your other team players that you've picked. But yeah, most
Yeah,
people
I
at
think
Villa
that's
are a
just
visionary
part of it, isn't it?
because no one's picking
Yeah,
them because of
and
that
like we did
stereotype.
we recorded the Arsenal
Yeah.
episode earlier this week, and I was about to pose the same kind of question of, who do we think might be an Arsenal player you need to get in, and who's an Arsenal player that you think might be a good visionary to get in. And I sort of realised I was making the notes for the show, and I was like, I don't think there are going to be any Arsenal visionaries because so many people are Arsenal fans. All the players end up getting picked by so many
Everyone
people.
knows them.
So it was like a player that, like Jenna Nicewanger, who barely comes on, for example, was sort of the only kind of player that you could pick. Whereas for someone like Villa are sort of in that sweet spot of they're not one of the top teams, aren't super popular, but are good enough that you're going to get some points, especially if top half team. And I was just looking at the first few games. You've got Brighton, Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal. So Chelsea and Arsenal, obviously, especially, are going to be really hard games, but Brighton, Liverpool should be right. And then after that, you've got West Ham, Leicester, Everton, which I think is like a bit of a run of games. 3 games in a row there where you haven't got one of the top 4. So that's the sort of time where you want to start. If you see by game week 4 that certain Villa players are looking really good, that's going to be the time to get them in, isn't there?
Yeah, swoop in and change them. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, okay. Well, I guess that's pretty much all we've got time for today, because that is our Aston Villa season preview wrapped up. Thank you very much, Fred, for coming on. And well, I'll actually see you again tomorrow, won't I? Because this isn't the only podcast you do, and we're switching roles for a day.
Yes. Yeah, we are indeed. Yes, me and Sam are going to be on All for Women's Football tomorrow with our lovely friend Barry previewing the WSL. And it's been great. Thank you very much for having me on.
I think since we did this episode last year, about a year ago, we're now going to be on 2 podcasts in 2 days with each other. So listen. Yeah, then it'll be another year.
year.
I think your podcast will probably, because your podcast is obviously tomorrow. I think yours will probably go out before this one does. So if you're listening to this and you want to hear us talk even more about the WSL, just more generally, go check out the, is it All for Women's Football on YouTube?
Yes. Yeah, so it'll be All for Women's Football on YouTube live at 8:30. And then I've got
I was going to give you time to plug it, don't worry.
On all of them.
Go for it.
No, it's fine. I was just going to say, so all of because it's the time, isn't it, to do all of the WSL previews. So on Wednesday, if anyone's around, 8:30, we've got the WSL preview show, and then the week after, on Wednesday at 8:30, we've got the WSL 2/Championship preview show as well.
There you go, check those out. And if you're listening to this after Wednesday, by all means, go back on YouTube, because they're obviously, although they're live shows, they'll still be on there for you to watch. But in terms of this podcast, obviously this is Decoding the WSL. Thank you very much for joining us today. Do go and follow at Decoding the WSL on Instagram, and follow our YouTube channel if you're not already. All the podcasts are available there to watch. and will be for the rest of the season as well. And do make sure to follow, subscribe, give us 5-star reviews, all that good stuff. But yeah, other than that, thank you very much, Freya, for coming on. Thank you very much, listener, for being with us, and we'll see you at the next one.